Bingo. Dino DNA. Welcome to another episode of VFX and Chill, where we are drinking from the mugs with our logos on it and rocking new haircuts where we showed the barber a picture of David Lynch, and we are doing cute faces with our headphones on. I've now described everyone on the screen. Everyone, thank you for joining us. This is VFX and Chill. As usual, I'm Seth Worley, and over here, Danny Hashimoto, and down below us is Michael, but he is always above us in superiority and intelligence and knowledge of our company's products. We are streaming across multiple channels, but this is the channel right there that you will really be able to participate in the fun chat.
And whatever channel you're on, make sure you like this video. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, by gum, why not? We've got dinosaurs.
I feel like we talk about dinosaurs a lot on the show. We comp a lot of velociraptor heads in the show, but there's a new trailer out for Jurassic World Rebirth.
We're going to check this out. Let's go over to my screen, I think. Here's our pal Scarlet. And there's our pal
T-Rex.
Jonathan Bailey. And there's a big old tail. So this trailer comes out, and I think it's fun. I mean, it looks fun. It's from our Lord and Savior, Gareth Edwards. So we're very excited.
Got dinos.
And the dinos are supposedly mutants this time. They're mutant dinos. And so I'm excited by that. What I do like about this trailer is that it has very strong, like, Congo vibes. If anyone familiar with me as a human being knows that my favorite genre of film is the experts go to an exotic location and begin getting killed by things. Yeah, also known as Jurassic Park.
I really do like the way that Gareth Edwards handles visual effects in general. So I'm excited to see if he's able to do anything like with the filmmaking approach that is different from this recent batch of Jurassic Worlds.
Well, and something about Gareth that I think goes underappreciated is that it's especially evident in his Godzilla movie. He's great with visual effects, but he also
great with kids.
He's great with kids. He's a great babysitter. Yeah.
Like short notice.
I wish we had a drop ready for that. Gareth Edwards babysitting service. And it's just like dinosaurs and Godzilla and like cyborgs. He knows how to tell a story with a camera in a very Spielbergian way. Go watch his Godzilla film, and there's like ways that he communicates that a boat is tipping like on its side by following a pencil rolling up over a map. Little tiny things like that are so cinematic and cool. I'm excited by this movie. I think it's something to be excited about. And even more exciting is the fact that apparently it's doing the one idea I think this franchise has left, with the one good idea, which is, what if there's an island with all the failed mutant experiment, the failed dino experiments, like the ones that it's the island of misfit dinosaurs. And I'm excited by this, and I hope that they get way weirder than they are in this movie. I hope that you have like freakish, weird mutant dinos in this movie. And I hear that they're doing the river sequence from the original Crichton book, which is fun.
They retconned the feathers. They were in the other one. They even had Dr. Wong come back and be like, we know they're supposed to have feathers. We turned them off.
We turned them off because you didn't want them in the 90s.
Cooler, I believe, is the word that you used in your memo.
Also, we couldn't render them in the 90s.
This looks like a shot we could do. Like,
well, that does. That reminds me a lot of our Godzilla -1 intro.
That also reminds me of the water VFX stuff that you did at the very end of that show, Hashi, where you just suddenly made. For those of you who missed the water VFX episode where we were doing all kinds of different watery things, Hashi all of a sudden at the end decided to pull out all the stops and do something amazing. So yeah, watch this one all the way through. The link is in the chat.
And let me tell you something.
You're too kind.
I'm doing my best not to take it personally that I go out of town and you have one of the most like successfully performing episodes that we've had all season. Like,
it was such a good episode.
That water episode is like it's like the metrics are like boop, boop, boop. And the water episode is like, bah! It's this big middle finger in the middle of the season. Just. So
Seth, Patrick says, if it makes you feel any better, we missed your drops on the water episode, which is true. We were really expecting it to happen, and they did.
Oh, that's funny.
That's dinos.
Open it back
Yeah,
up.
let's dinos. Yeah, let's tell
dinos.
people what we're doing today. We've attacked dinosaurs before, and dinosaurs have attacked us before, but we have never committed to the whole idea that what if you wanted a dinosaur in your film and you wanted to render a semi-realistic dinosaur into it? And so I think that today we're going to try doing that specifically by mimicking some of the shots in this trailer.
This is a really fun shot. And I feel like we could build this shot. You've got a T-Rex asset.
I do have a T-Rex asset.
Oh, Hashi, you got a cool one. Look at his outfit.
Pretty freaking cool.
This is a pretty cool looking dino. And in
is that
fact,
how that dino came?
This dino actually even came with a handful of animations on it.
You mean Dinomations?
T-Rex. I mean animations. That's not a word.
Oh, that's right. However, hang on. We're going to find out.
All right.
It is. The Dinamation was... I'm going to look in my Don Shea and Jody Duncan's Making of Jurassic Park book, of which this is the 5th copy of it I've owned. This
one is called Rampaging T-Rex. Yeah. The awesome sketchfab artist, Kardik. Running, biting.
He looks a little... Yeah, that's a good one.
Roaring, roar. Hey, that's kind of what we're trying to do, right? Excellent. So I'm going to grab that asset and put him right here in...
You can grab that asset.
Oops, I removed the takes from this. Whatever, you might need to end up posing this yourself anyway. So let's do a little bit of posing. One of my favorite ways to pose something with a spine, you can select like the spine, the neck joints, all the way maybe through the head if you want. And then if you click on the rotation tool, there are some options over here, and you can press this little check box per object transform. Check that box. And now you can use the rotate tool, and it rotates them all a little bit incrementally, all at the same time. Look how fun that is. Great for like a tail
so good. Yeah.
Or any kind of serpentine kind of motion, and for just adjusting the body position without trying to like individually go to joints and messing with them,
Update, Dinamation was a company that made animatronic dinosaurs back in the 90s. And
up or down doesn't count.
I thought it was a Phil Tippett thing.
No, that was the
DID. It was the Dinosaur Input Device.
Dino Input Device.
Which we nicknamed the Dinosaur Input Device. We take a puppet that's very similar to what they're used to animating and electronically encode it so that they can move this around and have that be applied to a computer.
The DID translated actual movement into computer instructions. It eliminated the keyboard while yielding the same CGI results.
So, we're going to pose this dinosaur like it's very upsettedly roaring. So let's try to figure that out. I kind of know that it was sort of in the distance. I can't remember what kind of lens is on it. Probably something like this, except that its head is up, pretty tall, I think, and its jaw is like, bah. Do we have the reference? Okay, cool. Hey, we're in the...
It's the T-Rex sneaking through the weeds like a cat, hunting a little measy mouse.
I hope that this thing is unable to stand up. I hope it's this weird, crawly, slithery T-Rex that's horrifying.
It's the Snakeosaurus.
Yeah. Now,
Lisa says that this is a cool rig and model. She really wants to eventually learn character rigging in Cinema 4D. And I've got some good news for you, Lisa. There's a tutorial series on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. A webinar series called Intro to Rigging. The Intro to Rigging Part 1 is in the chat right now. Starts real simple, rigging a lamp, and then it works its way up to full-on character stuff. Dante is naming our little slithery Tyrannosaurus Rex the Sneakosaurus, which I think is adorable.
The Sneakosaurus, I like that. This model did come with some textures, but I did actually Photoshop them to be a little bit more like the T-Rex from the movie colors, though also I am colorblind, which I will say once again before I go into this exciting adventure. So I did create a Redshift material. It looks like this, where I took the diffuse, this specular map, a bump map, and a height map, which I'm feeding as displacement to the output here. Because if you'll notice, if I type NB, you can see that this is actually a fairly low poly model, all things considered. I'm going to create a camera that's here, and I'm going to add a protection tag to it so I can just always come back to that. Rigging tags, protection. Now I can just switch to a different camera to kind of move around. And you can see that these polygons are pretty big, so there are going to be some, jagged edges to this when it renders. However, if you add a Redshift render tag to it, there is a tab right here called Geometry. And by default, it's not checked. But if you check it, it says that you can add in your own tessellation right here. Right now it's set to 5 subdivisions, and do some displacement at render time as well. So you won't see them right now, but if I turn on my, my IPR, you'll see that this curve that should be a bunch of little polygons is actually very smoothed out by this process, which is kind of cool. So if I turn that off, polys, see? Straight edges, and if I turn it back on, that. Now I'm losing some sharpness in the teeth, and so what I've got to do is figure out if that is because of the displacement. Yes, it's definitely the displacement, and I'm doing too much. So I'm going to turn the maximum displacement down a little bit and turn the displacement scale. That didn't look right. Let's see. Let's turn it.
I always get confused by any parameter that's like labeled scale, because in some like distortion or displacement or fractal maps, in some apps, turning scale up makes the map smaller. Some other times it makes the map bigger, and I never really know what I'm in for. And so I always hold on to something when I adjust the level.
What I think it is the displacement scale. The higher you go, the more like furrowed, like the more detailed displacement you'll get. Like I'm overdoing it right now by setting it to 100. Let me set it back to something like 25. And then your maximum displacement is this number. So if I set this to like 5, you'll see that it becomes a mutant dino.
Look at his teeth. That's little human teeth.
It's a marshmallow. By the way, quick pause for validation. According to the chat, Dinamation was the actual as a Harryhausen term. It was, and that's where I knew it from. It was a
Dinamation. Okay.
Yeah, it was a Ray Harryhausen term, which that's where I had heard it before. Thank you. Also, want to call out Lisa for referencing.
She called that out. Yeah, way early.
Calling that out, but also calling out here, lizard. My favorite of the Chihuahua spots. Talk about Chihuahua spots from the '90s, which was the tie-in for Godzilla. No one else knows that when I reference it, like most of my references.
As we learned in our ill-fated Redshift episode, just by default, Redshift looks a little weird like this. Like it's just this weird deer in the headlights situation. But things start to look really good. I'll do it manually this time. You can just add a dome light to them, and then it's in a promotional material setting.
It's like, hi, I'm a Mac. And I'm a dinosaur.
I'm a dinosaur. And then it cuts back.
They're gone.
It's dead. All right. So I downloaded from Polyhaven this one.
Look at that.
There we go. What's cool about this is like this big broad daylight kind of view. Like this is what the original CG test for the T-Rex was rendered like.
I wasn't completely convinced until I saw a fleshed dinosaur outside in the worst harsh sunlight.
So I feel like we had the light coming from kind of over here, and it gave it, this nice effect. One thing that I'm doing in here that you can probably see if I get a little bit closer. Oh, this is so fun.
Are you going to do some subsurface stuff?
In fact, I did. I went and split out a couple of polygon selections and then made a duplicate of my dino skin. And in this duplicate of the dino skin, I just went to my material settings right here. And you can scroll down. I turned the weight of the reflection up, so this is a little more glossy. You can see that lovely tongue.
You always go straight for the tongue. As long as I've known you, whenever you open up like a raptor or any kind of animal, the first thing Hashi goes to like start messing with the texture is the tongue. Straight for the tongue.
Hey, it's the same. It's the Ellie Sadler approach to checking out how a dinosaur is feeling.
She does. She goes straight for the tongue also. Yeah.
Can I say it's what Dr. Grant likes about her. Ayo, and I'm gonna say medically treating dinosaurs. Let's see. So I turned up the transmission a little bit and tinted the color of it a little pink, and then went down here to subsurface.
Turn make that redder.
Back to 0. Watch this.
Hey.
It's like rigid. It just sort of rendered the way it's a texture with the lighting applied to it. But as I turn up subsurface scattering, now the light gets in there and bounces around a little bit.
This is the trick, is like, how do we retain the red color of the tongue, but also have the subsurface scattering?
Go make the subsurface color redder. He's got a very browny color in there now.
Let's make
it red. More saturated too. Wait, now less.
Look at that strawberry mouth. There we go.
All right, let's save that and let's switch back to this camera.
Tongue interests may have been challenged here.
Not by me.
There it is. Thank you. There's a drop we've had for years that I have not been able to use ever. Anyway.
Well, the chat is enjoying making jokes about the very yellow dino.
Landscape object here.
Okay.
And whoops, not rotate. I want to move it over here. And I want to go to its properties. 1700, let's just make it square-ish. I'm going to uncheck the borders at sea level, so it's just the whole thing is a little bit rickety. That's the right word for the floor. So now look, it's a dino in the snow.
It's a dino in the snow.
Dino in the snow. And look, what's so cool about these is like where Redshift works. Like look at the belly of the dinosaur with just the environment map. And then as soon as I turn this landscape on of snow, look at that. Look at that bounced light. Look at the color of the shadow being the holdout of the sky. It's so great.
It is great.
It does so many wonderful things.
Looks so good, and it just happens naturally and for free. You got to do nothing to make it happen. It's great.
It's impossible even for a computer.
So I've clicked over into the asset browser because there's a whole scene going on in there. And all right, so I'm going to grow this grass to be a little bit
All right, while we wait on Hashi to grow some grass, we actually need to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Dinosaurs really are beautiful. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're making a baby dinosaur. Actually, a full-grown one. Hashi is over here. He's got a dinosaur. It's roaring. It's in the snow. He's trying to now plant grass and grow it in the snow. He's gotten this grass from the asset browser, and he is growing it.
All right, so I've added a cloner, and I've put my grass object in the cloner. Then I'm going to go to the cloner settings, and under object, I'm going to say mode object. For the object, I'm going to drag in the landscape. And now, look at that. Grass is growing on the landscape. How many are there? 20 right here. You can see in the count right there. But it looks like they are oriented in the wrong direction. So I'm going to double check if I go to my transform under the cloner object, and I can maybe rotate them back upright with a little minus 90 right there. All right, that looks better. All right, I'm going to go to my landscape settings, and I'm going to turn up the overall height, which is going to give the ground a little bit more wobble like that.
So I will say what Hashi's doing right now is great for just getting a general overall idea of what it's going to look like. But once you get them kind of like organized and roughly the size you want, before you crank up to have a whole bunch of them, I would suggest hitting the button the command that swaps this cloner into a matrix object, and then put a Redshift tag on it, and have Redshift do all the instancing for you. That's usually what I do with grass.
This is looking so funny with the white snow. Like you haven't changed that yet, so it like has this very specific contrasty look right now.
Should we leave it, or should we add some floor to it?
Let's do some floor to it, because I kind of want to see. I want to make this match as much as we can to the reference.
Excellent. Well, I'll just go ahead and drag in this forest floor texture.
Dragon?
I'll let it think for a second. Look at
Not
that.
dragon, dinosaur.
Look at that.
Hey,
now it's on the ground. It's great. We've got this cloner object.
Anyway, Hashi, so click on the cloner and go to the Mograph menu, and in the Mograph menu, there's a swap cloner matrix command in there.
Sweet.
To the command section. There you go. That will change that to a matrix object instead of a cloner. You could probably rename it. You'll see if you're not seeing anything. You can take that plant out of it because you don't need Just call it grass or whatever. I don't know, matrix or whatever. But you can take the plant out of it entirely and just hide it or whatever. It doesn't matter. Now but don't do that. It doesn't matter. Turn it back visible because you're going to want it to render. Put a Redshift object tag on there, and then set it to on the part of the particle section. You can turn it to custom objects, and then drop your plant in there.
What? No way.
Damn it, Michael!
And boom.
Look at that.
All of the instancing of this geometry is done at render time by Redshift. So all of the geometry is just that one instance of it. And then Redshift is just copy pasting. So it saves a ton of GPU memory to do it this way. If you're doing a large number of objects like a grass field where you're going to have tens of thousands or even millions of things, using Redshift instances like this is going to make things go so much faster.
There we go.
On Easter Sunday.
212. I'm going to go with like as little as I can get away with.
That T-Rex is like on an Easter egg hunt. Like that, I don't know why it reminds me of just like...
No, it totally is. I like that.
There we go. Hiding Easter eggs. I think it's like the still not grown leaves on the trees back there, but also the green grass that we're having to like hunt for eggs in. It's like that weird... I just have memories of Easter being in like a weird... it's not like... It doesn't feel like spring yet, but it's also weirdly hot.
So we'll put a little Maxon Easter egg in here for you all. Let's just try some rough plaster here. There we go.
That's good. I like it.
I'm just going to set it over here somewhere. I'm going to play with the grass a little bit by going to add a lovely random effector right here. I'm going to my matrix object, and I'm saying effectors, and I'm going to drag the random one in there. And look at this. If I go to my random parameter, right now it has a check mark under transform for position. So just like any, kind of displacey effector, here's what it does. So if I turn up the Y value...
If you turn off the Viper, you can actually just watch the matrix objects happen a little faster. So now you can just see it happening without waiting for the render to happen.
This is unhinged, what's happening right now. This is crazy party. Okay, so look at that.
We just encountered the T-Rex on the mainframe.
Excellent. So you can adjust the position a little bit randomly. I can check rotation, add some rotation to them so they'll be all in different directions. And then I'm going to also check scale. And let's go with uniform scale because it's could be weird if it's not, and just turn that up a little bit. So you're getting kind of a variety of sizes and shapes. I'm going to start the IPR again. Whoa! Okay, so maybe the scale got a little bit too big.
Now he's in an Easter basket.
I would say I don't think you want the position randomness really that much anyway, because then you get ones that are floating off the ground, and they're already randomly scattered on the object anyway.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's turn the position scattering lower. Let's turn the scale. Yeah, the scale is a little weird on this grass, I admit, but I bet that we could mix it with some other stuff to try to make it a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would also argue recolor it. So like it like he's in a bunch of dead grass. It looks like, or this like
it's very yellow.
It's very yellow, Hosh, if that helps. So like we should probably lean it. It's very green right now.
I'm gonna add. What about this? There's a box elder tree. Oh, look at that.
Oh, hey. There's a tree in me. Kill me.
All right. So there's some trees in the background of that image, as I recall.
Yep. Here we are.
They're kind of just framing out that side here. Making a copy instead of using a cloner. I just want something over here. There we go. All right. So now we've got this kind of dark half over here because I feel like compositionally that was cool about that.
Brian Smith is saying, shouldn't changing the seed on grass get a different type of grass? Oh, damn it. I thought it was a serious question. That really upset me. We're going to be right back after this. We're going to take a break. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're making a dinosaur. We're taking this shot specifically, and Hashi's recreating it, Cinema 4D, rendering in Redshift. And it looks something like this right now.
It's looking pretty cool.
I think so too.
There's a bunch of darkness behind the T-Rex in that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's probably like smoke. It looks so localized and close.
Yeah.
Let me see, out of curiosity, if I added a... put on your sunglasses, everybody. I'm going to add a Redshift environment to default settings. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So yeah, the scattering and attenuation can go way down.
So let's put this in the bluish realm and...
Oh, God, my eyes.
Dark gray. Okay. Let's do that. Now let's turn the scattering
way down on the scattering.
down to like almost its lowest achievable.
Oh
my God.
Whoa!
Right?
This just became a video game immediately.
Now we are cooking with gasoline. Okay.
Well, the problem is this kills it's killing the background image as well, but that's fine because we're not going to use it anyway.
Well, I didn't want the background image actually. I just wanted its sorry, HDRI, I'm just using you for your
light.
We created it.
Announced light. If I turn down my attenuation a little bit, can I get to the point where I'm fogging the background, leaving the T-Rex still in the nice golden sunlight? Yeah, somewhere around here. Now that's kind of dark. Look at this! Look at this cute widow. Let me turn the environment off for a second. Aww. This is a cute little scene. It's like I want to like buy one of these from
one of those little collectible
studios. All right.
MLSD is saying all the time on IPR, your graphics card melting. Hashi, again, I do want to remind folks, Hashi's computer is old. He's running a 2080 Ti, so
Yeah. So there, it's in sort of the same direction, but I want to hit the trees with it to pop them more from the background. I'm going to change the color of it in a second, but just want to get the idea right.
This looks like a nighttime scene. Looks like you're hanging. You're hanging.
It totally does.
The giant,
because the brain automatically makes it that way because the back is so dark.
Excellent. So check this out. There's the spread control on an area light. If you turn it down to 0, it's basically
that's a helicopter looking for a T-Rex.
Check it out. Oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to turn it up about like that and turn this toward the trees. And now let's check in this view. Okay, now it's lighting them up, and I can turn the intensity to... There we go. So look at that. So something like this can make the trees a little bit more apparent. And I can, again, color, not my thing. I make it yellower.
Right area.
I feel like we're in a pretty good place for this. Yeah. I like this. Let's go to our render settings, and we're going to play with this a little bit. Let's turn this up at least to HD 1920 by 1080, and then I'm going to do a couple of things just to make this go. Let's go to the save, and we'll call this Dino. That's a stupid name because it's going to get... Actually, I'm going to take this whole line right here, and I'm going to cut it from there and uncheck that save, and instead put that over here in the multipass image directory right here. And I'm going to change this to OpenEXR because OpenEXRs can store multiple layers just like that. And then I'm going to go to Redshift, and then if I click Advanced and then go over to AOV, you can see that my AOVs are enabled. And I can show the AOV manager. The other place you could do that is right over here, Redshift AOV manager. But it'll do this. It'll pop up in this thing. AOVs basically mean additional. What do they stand for, actually? I don't know.
Arbitrary output variable.
Perfect. I love you, Michael. Let's put this. I want some depth. And you know what? I'm going to also add a cryptomat. And if I scroll over, you can see that there's a multipass and a direct option. I'm just going to check direct just because why not too? Like a little copy of it.
For those who are curious, the direct is Redshift outputting its own thing, separate from Cinema 4D's multi-pass setup. Direct AOVs have some benefits over multipass ones, but they have some drawbacks as well. It just depends how you're planning to rebuild your setup in comp which one you pick. But if you want to have like a puzzle mat or an object or like an object mat type thing, like the black and white mats that you would get from the old Cinema 4D renderer, then yeah, you need to put that in the you do need to put a tag on it for that. Yes.
Is it a redshift tag or what is that? Is it a material?
It is a redshift tag. Yes.
Would it be combined in with this?
Nope, same one. Just go to the object ID section there.
Oh, there we go. So we'll make the override. We'll make the dinosaur.
Pick an ID number.
1. We'll go to the redshift matrix and we'll say override 2. And then we'll go to the trees, maybe. I'll grab all 3 trees. I'm going to say render tags, rs object, and then I'm going to go to the object ID and override that with 3. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Let's just render this thing.
No, hang on. You got to go to the AOV paths first.
Oh, fine.
You got to go to the AOV paths first to specify your puzzle mat and how you want that to actually look.
Oh, well,
go
let's
to your
learn how
AOV
to do
manager.
that, everybody. I love what this looks like in viewport mode.
Like that is a completely different look.
Oh,
Yeah.
Also on my T-Rex, let me check the geometry button again before I render this. All right, go to the AOV, show the AOV manager.
And you want a puzzle mat.
And then we'll, and also, I forgot on the depth, I want Z normalized. And on the puzzle mat, not crypto mat, puzzle mat.
Yeah, you don't want a crypto mat. I mean, you might, but for this particular setup, you don't. Just need a puzzle mat.
Conflating the two. Puzzle
then
mat.
in your puzzle mat settings, you want it to be object ID instead of material ID.
Object ID.
And then 1, 2, 3. So the dinosaurs could be on the red channel, the grass is going to be on the green channel, and the trees are going to be in the blue channel.
This is so much further than I ever go for renders because I'm usually rendering stuff for YouTube. You know, this is fun. It's fun. We're doing it. Seth, I feel like I should hand this over to you once I get this render going. Sure. Let's do it. Rendering to the picture viewer, baby.
Lisa's asking, are we all working on the same files as you're sharing instantly? No.
If we were in the same building, we could be doing this more easily.
Wait, Hashi, wait. Reach across. Are we in the same?
Remember that Germany?
Oh, damn it.
Right here.
We're not. Oh, yeah. Here, hand me that phone. All right. Thanks. I got it. Thanks. Hello? Oh, no. Hashi, it's for you. It's just you.
Oh, of course.
Thanks.
Hung up.
All right. Anyway.
Once again, as I shouted out on our Redshift show, there's a great overview of what all the Redshift settings are doing in the render by Ellie called Speed Up Your Renders in Redshift or something like that. Oh, I stabbing him with grass.
Oopsies.
Well, that's okay. Dino.exr, it's one file. I'm going to drag this in, make a comp out of it. And this is what it looks like. And if everything went according to plan... I'll colorista it. This is silly, but okay. So in that case, I'm going to need to make sure I've got this version, which is the main render. Then I'm going to colorista, and then here I've got the extractor turned on it or applied to it, and I'm going to click this little awkward drop down that you think is going to be a drop down, and then it doesn't give you a drop down. It just does this thing, and I'm going to set it to depth, and now it looks like that.
What? Look at that.
That's pretty freaking cool. So there are a couple ways that you can control first what I'll do is just for fun, just kind of in case people here aren't familiar with depth maps, we have a killer episode about depth maps that you should look up and add millions of more views to because it's one of our most successful. But I'm going to drop this lingering fog from Action VFX into the scene. I'm going to put it, I'm just going to fill this fog right here, and then I'm going to drag this guy to, I need to label this so I don't forget. Depth. I'm going to drag, pick whip this track mat on the fog to the depth, and I'm going to click this little guy to set its illuminance. And now it's only going to show up in whatever the white value is on this depth map. So
it's great.
You can see there's fog back here. Why don't I go to this main render and actually...
That looks incredible, dude.
Add colorista and then do, I don't know, tip the mids down a little bit. So watch this. So this depth map, if I apply a levels effect and I drag the gamma bar like up like this so it gets brighter or it gets darker. If I turn off this layer and we just look at our fog, I need to set this fog to screen mode. Now if I move this gamma up and down, it's moving forward and backward in the depth. And if I can also turn up the black levels and turn up the white levels here.
Spider-Man, turn up the white levels.
Spider-Man, turn up the white levels. You can see it's much more extreme what's happening now. Let me get
Oh, yes. I love it.
Oh,
depth map. They're so cool.
Let's do let's do the spit. So I'm going to add a new solid. I'm going to call it spray. And I'm going to apply particular. So I click the designer button and I get this here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the emitter type to a sphere. And then I'm going to go over to the motion settings and I'm going to say direction. I want directional. And I'm going to do Y rotation 90 or let's say negative 90. And I want to turn the velocity up like crazy. And if I turn on motion blur, you can see that's moving. That stuff's moving a lot, moving really fast. The particles, a couple things. One, I want to go to the particle type. I want to go to air resistance. I'm going to turn it to like 0.1 so it keeps flying and stops. It doesn't stop anymore in midair. I'm also then going to go, I believe I wanted to go to environment. I'm going to turn gravity up to like 500. So it starts to fall. And I'm going to turn up turbulence. And you can't really tell what the turbulence is doing unless you turn motion blur on. So like let me turn up the size of the particles in case you can't see them right now. But like,
yeah.
If I set effect position to 0, well, there is weirdly some like, oh, you know why that is? That's because of my motion, my direction spread and random velocity is at 0. So like if I direction spread set to 0, you can see they're just coming out straight. But if I turn up the position effect, there we go. You start to see there's much more chaos happening here, right? I actually want the size to be like a 5. I'm going to set size random to 50. Maybe I'll set size to like 7 just so you guys can see it on the feed. And now here's the thing. I could go in. There's great water drop sprites that I could use here because this is what I'm doing is making this like spit. So I could apply this water drop and it looks good. But the thing is they're moving like so fast. They don't need to look like that really. They just need to look like little dots flying about. So I'm going to keep it. And plus it takes a little longer to render when it's a sprite. So I'm going to keep them as spheres. I think this is good. One more thing actually that I want to do is turn the life down to like 1 second. Maybe even shorter, half a second. So then it's just blah, blah, blah. Life random, turn to 50 maybe.
Are you going to want to like scale them down or opacity them down so they don't just pop out? Or
that's not a bad idea.
What's your plan?
So if I size them down with a linear slope, in which case I'll probably want to make their life go a whole second. This is good. I'm going to hit apply, and now I'm on the first frame here. And again, this is just one frame we're rendering. So I am going to go ahead and just, because I want us to see the motion, I'm going to set it to 5 seconds. It was at 30, but we can't see any particles because on the first frame, there are no particles unless you go to global controls and turn pre-run up seconds. And you can basically say, I would like to pre-run these particles a certain number of seconds. I'm going to say 2 seconds. So now there's particles, right? This is all right, and we're done. Blah.
Master time and space. Yes.
So
that snow layer back in there now.
I'm gonna turn. Yeah, you're right. So I'm gonna rotate these particles back, and this is where it's always confusing to me to know. Let me actually go down to rendering and turn motion blur instead of comp settings. I'm gonna set it to on. But I always have trouble when I'm rotating on the Y rotation, like knowing whether the particles are coming toward camera or whether they're going away from camera. There's a couple
of easy ways to make that better for you.
Oh, I know. But in this case, I can actually see now they're coming toward camera. That said, they feel really close. And I'm going to push them a little further back. I don't actually need to do that. What I need to do is just...
again, if we had an external compositing tag, we would have them in proper exact 3D space.
Yeah,
if we had planned for that.
I don't need them in exact 3D space right here. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to make the sphere size maybe more like 200 rather than 500. That's a little too projectile vomity. Maybe set it to 300. I'm going to turn direction spread up to like 20 actually, so they're flying a little more randomly. So if I hit play, you'll see this bit is flying out. I actually think we could turn the velocity up even more. What are we at, like 1,300? Let's go 2,000.
Why not?
No, there's no rules against it.
Blah. There's nothing in the rule book that says we can't do that.
Hey, Mr. Keyframes, that sounds like actually a better question for Ask the Trainer. You can submit your question and they can prepare a decent answer and get it to you. Ask the Trainer's next episode is February 20th. The link for that is in the chat.
So this looks fun. It looks subtle enough for me, but I do, just if I want to, like I can go into levels and I could turn up the, to where it's like even more visible here. This is big white particles spraying out. And I also can go, let's do a tent and maybe drop part of the mouth in there, but turn up the luminance values. Maybe too red. I maybe would lean it a little more yellow.
And of course you can do this all in
particular,
your compositing.
Sure.
Or in your compositing step with Supercomp.
I absolutely could, but I'm going to turn up gravity. What if I do 1,000? So they're not flying as far in there.
Yeah, 1,000 is closer to realistic gravity settings, which are around 961, I think.
987.
So, and by the way, the size here feels way too big for me, but I'm trying to keep it visible for those at home.
Yeah, I can barely see it at that size.
So I'm gonna keep it at 5. I'm gonna turn sphere feather down. Now I'm gonna duplicate this spray layer, and I'm gonna call this. I just say haze. And let me turn off the spray layer. Spider-Man, turn off the spray layer. And then I'm just going to go into this haze layer, and I'm going to say, instead of 100 particles a second, give me 10 particles per second. I'm also going to run here and turn off these levels and tint that I applied earlier. And I'm going to set the particle to cloudlet. Turn the cloudlet feather up to 100. And I'm going to start turning up this size. Pretty giant. Size over life, let me recheck what we had. Yeah, that's fine. Well, no, actually, I want this to be, let's actually reset it. I'd like for it to stay the same size the whole time. But I'm going to go to
fade out opacity.
Opacity over life, exactly. I'm going to go to the presets here and have it do this offset peak so it fades up and off. But I'm going to turn gravity on this particular one to 0. I'm going to set life, because I don't want it to make it this far, to like 0.5. And the real fun, I might even want to, real fun is that if I go to I'm going to set opacity to 10, and then opacity random to 10. And now it's starting to look like a fine mist. So if I turn the particles per second up to like, say, 50, now if I hit play, we've got this.
Oh, that's a fine mist.
We got this fine mist coming out of this T-Rex's mouth. Now, this was a trick that I figured out on. I talked about this before on the show, but on the short film we did for Red Giant called Spy vs. Guy, which came out in like 2013 or something. There are multiple shots where we cut to what's supposed to be, as the caption says, Russia somewhere, but the idea is that this old Cold War missile silo in the middle of like snowy Russia is activated, and we had a stock footage shot that's like a drone shot of some snowy landscape, but I wanted it to be blizzardy and snowy, so I brought in particular, I added, really easy to add snow, but then it still just felt like a bunch of flakes, and it didn't feel like, blizzards feel like they're like hazy, like you can barely see like a very far distance. And so I just duplicated the snow layer, turned down the particle count, turned the particle size up, made it a cloudlet, feathered it up, turned the opacity way down, did exactly what you just saw me do, and then had that mixed with the fine particles. And suddenly I had something way more that looked way more like I know like a blizzard looks like, or snow, or in this case is getting me much closer to like this kind of like saliva and breath mist and spray combination. And now I'm going to put some slime in there to make this mouth extra gross. And then we're going to bring it all together. So like I said, I've got these slime assets from Triune Digital. Definitely check them out. They've got some killer assets here. They got these great like slime tears that are great for animating like a T-Rex's mouth opens, or a monster's mouth opens. So I'm going to grab one of these that I like a lot, and maybe this one, Slime Tear 6. By the way, the folder, we had these saved, and it says Slime and Tears, but Hashi read it as Slime and Tears, and we both thought that was very funny.
I love it.
So I'm going to turn off this haze and spray for now, and I've got this Slime Tear, and I am going to scale this down, set it to be a screen. It's a screen mode. Obviously, this already like starts to make this look like pretty gross and awesome. It's up to you, like your taste level, obviously, of like how extreme you want to go with this. Just for the purposes of this kind of tutorial, I'm going to go pretty extreme with it, but I'm going to have it go kind of back here in the dinosaur's mouth, which brings us back to our depth map. So, by the way, I can't remember if it's depth map or mats.
It could be either, depending on how you're using it.
Yes.
So,
in this case, it's a map.
So this is what it looks like.
That you're going to use as a mat.
This is what it looks like. I've got levels on here, obviously, that lets me, but I need them to be like, I need just these like teeth and mouth to be the most prominent thing. So like you can turn the white levels up and the black levels down and start to get as much like really sharp contrast as possible. There's all kinds of more nuanced ways to really go about this, but this is like kind of my go-to method. You can also add a new levels, even put it before it if you want, and you can adjust the gamma on that one, and that really lets you like adjust where your like depth, like middle of your scene kind of is. So let's go with that for now. So on the slime tear, now you can do like I did before. You can do pick whip a track mat up to here and set its illuminance, and that would work. But I don't believe Supercomp reads track mats, and that's fine.
Correct.
I am going to pre-comp the slime tear, and now I'm going to apply a set matte filter, a set matte effect to it. I want you to take matte from layer. I'm going to set it to depth and to effects from masks and luminance. And so now you'll see if I set this slime tear to screen blend mode, if I adjust the gamma on this depth map, you'll see it's like it is actually putting it in this T-Rex's mouth. Like, so now it's being obscured by the foreground stuff like the teeth. And
Raphael Gort is wanting you to use curves, and I understand why. But the nice thing about levels is that you can actually see where the color information's at in this case, so it does make it kind of handy. And I do want to take the opportunity, since you brought up curves, to call out Parametric Curve is a new tool.
I've been using it a ton
from
for
Red Giant.
map.
It's so good for this kind of thing.
100%. Real quick, I'm gonna say tint and set it to some pick whipped color. So that blends real nicely into that T-Rex's mouth now all of a sudden. Now
it really
we've got this disgusting goop and slime in here. And so for all intents and purposes, intensive purposes.
I have a hard time with that one too.
Yeah.
Intents and purposes.
Yeah, intense purposes.
Intensive purposes.
Now
in this case, intent. Because you just applied the tint.
You're right. Okay.
Tint.
Damn it, Michael. Damn it.
Walked right.
There we go. So I'm going to apply a set matte filter to the haze and set it to depth, set it to effects and masks, and set it to luminance. An interesting thing is going to happen. This looks funky and weird. Like you've got a lot of haze behind him. So like if I turn this off, you'll see. And turn off the slime. I've got like haze coming, like showing up out of his eyes and stuff. So I'm going to duplicate the depth map, depth 2, set the haze to depth 2. And now I'm going to adjust depth 2's settings. Like, that might be good enough.
I think it's looking pretty great.
That's fine. All right, so now we're going to select our main render, our haze, our spray, and our slime, and go to Effects, RGB Effects, Supercomp. Yes, now you can celebrate. So the slime tear, I'm going to make sure is below all this stuff. So there's all kinds of ways you can go about doing this. This is what I found looked really good for me. If I go to presets for the haze and I start with backlit smoke, but I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to delete the light wrap. I'm going to delete the diffusion. I'm going to set the blur behind to only like 50 or something. Haze is good. I might even turn it up a little more. And then I'm actually going to turn the opacity down to 10. And it's very freaking subtle, and it's supposed to be. So if I turn off the layer, turn the layer back on, when it's in motion, you see it. So like if I go back to the Spinosaurus breakdown, like you notice it when it's in motion because it's just this little extra haze. It's very, very subtle and barely readable. The spray is showing up so like hardcore here. I'm actually going to go and turn off this levels that I applied and turn the size. Actually, I'll keep the levels on, but I'm going to turn the size of the particle down. Like I really don't need it to, well, I'll keep it at 2 for you guys. But I'm going to, what did I do for the spray? I think I really just applied a haze and turned it up until it started to disappear. It was just very, very, very subtle. And the slime barely needs anything, to be completely honest. It looks pretty good as is. And it's a screen, like I'm using it as a screen, as an additive layer. That works fine. So like that is how that's essentially how I did. I added like this extra gunk. And again, if you want, we can bring in some extra fog and make this scene even more like misty and crazy.
Anyway, Black's asking about adding a bit of distortion on to the breath because it's, hot, steaming breath. And yes, you can. Yeah, you can do that. You can use that as a displacement layer if you wanted to.
What you could do is you do a couple things. You could actually I believe you can duplicate it and bring that. Is right, Michael? I don't utilize displacement in Supercomp as much. But set it as an adjustment layer. Okay.
Yep. Yes, adjustment layer is the one you want.
And set heat blur. And I'd say
displacement D1 perhaps.
Well, but I mean it's heat.
I know.
I could.
But we've already got the blur.
But that does this chromatic spread
It doesn't have to be chromatic. You turn the chromatic down. But it's got options. If you wanted to make it look distortion-y, you've got options, is what we're saying. Yes. Now, I wouldn't actually duplicate the particular layer. I would just put a solid in there with CC Composite and just grab the particular layer with that. That way you only have to change it. If you're changing settings, you only have to change it in the one spot.
That's smart. So just in case people were wondering what Michael's talking about, add a solid. We're going to say this is our displace layer. And we're going to apply CC Composite and set that layer to haze. Let me delete that haze 2 layer. And say effects and masks. And then now it's doing that. So if I turn that off or if I just go into super you-know-what and add it underneath the haze. And I set it to be an adjustment layer. And do displacement that way. And turn it. A lot of fun stuff you can do.
I think that we did a pretty cool job. That was some awesome stuff today.
Very awesome stuff.
We did. I think we delivered on what we were hoping to do, which was rendering dinosaurs in Redshift, realistic-ish dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
If you have a suggestion for stuff you want to see us do on the show, go to maxonvfx.com/chillbox and chill in the chill box. Give us a suggestion. Make sure you go to youtube.com/FVFX and chill and subscribe. Do us a favor.
It's fun. It would be fantastic of you.
Yes.
And speaking of fantastic, What should we do on the show next week, Seth?
I have no idea.